All right, guys, welcome to the SLC Dunk post-game show. The Utah Jazz fall to the Minnesota Timberwolves in what turned out to be a pretty exciting game between the Jazz and the Timberwolves. Some last-second heroics from the Jazz somehow get it close at the very end there, and then find a way to fall short with some. I mean, I don't like to talk about the officials, but they were frustrating from start to finish in this game, and so it was kind of appropriate that they had a big effect on the very end of the game. I mean, we had 6 free throws through 3 quarters, and then we could not seem to find a way to get a call. Even at that last play where Rudy goes to the rim, his arms get knocked by 2 players, doesn't get the free throws. But I mean, that was kind of the name of the game. I guess you can't depend on free throws to win a game. And honestly, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about with this game is I don't know what it has been. Like, Rudy has been just okay the first 2 games. I don't know if he is ailing. I don't know if it's because game 1 he's playing against Jokic. Tonight is kind of facing off against he was facing off against Taj Gibson, who he was actually able to guard pretty well. And Karl Anthony Towns was guarded by Favors, who, by the way, has been big time for us. If Gobert on that last play misses that dunk that he normally just crushes with authority, Favors misses that little shot that, typically he makes, and we lose. So it really frustrating loss for the Jazz, but Timberwolves found a way to win. And really, I mean, the Jazz really were finding ways to beat the Timberwolves. We just had another game where apparently Jamal Crawford, when he plays the Jazz, it's like his turbo button goes off or something, or he gets like the superstar in Super Mario, and then once he plays the Jazz, it's his. I don't know. Our kryptonite is Jamal Crawford, because literally every shot he takes goes in. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like every shot, and I'll look up the stats on this to kind of see exactly what he was, but Jamal Crawford was the difference in this game. Sometimes that's just what happens. There's nothing you can do. A player like Jamal Crawford, who just overall is not a great shooter, but for whatever reason, he gets a shot to fall against Utah, and it's over. There's nothing I have seen. So, and I think it was Josh Roberts on Twitter who replied to me, who made a good point. That Jamal Crawford was a big part of us winning the playoffs, which is why tonight is that much more frustrating, because he didn't play well against us in the playoffs, but he was a big part of us missing the playoffs 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was, when we just had to win that game against the Clippers and Jamal Crawford just goes off. When we had to play the backups. Maybe I shouldn't bring up bad memories. I don't want to bring up PTSD missing the playoffs for Jazz fans, but let's go to Minnesota and just look at Jamal Crawford against the Jazz. In 20 minutes, he had 17 points on 60% shooting, 3 for 5 from 3. I can't tell you how painful that is for me to look at. 60% from the field for a guy who shoots on average about 35% from the field. That was the difference, because we lost by 3 points. You know what else was a big reason the Jazz fall to the Minnesota Timberwolves? Was that 3-point. I mean, it was only 1 point, so it wasn't the difference. But that shot that Gorgie Jang took on the 3-point line, where he flailed sideways, he was facing the Jazz basket. That not only gave a point because he missed both free throws, ball don't lie, but it also stopped the Jazz from having a transition opportunity going the other way. So it really was a 3-point swing if the Jazz go and score. So frustrating all-around game. Other big frustration for this game is Rodney Hood goes down. No news yet on what that was. In fact, we'll pull up the news stream here to see if it comes up while we're on. But Rodney Hood goes down, and it did not look good, because it was one of those non-contact things. And if Rodney Hood's out... Okay, so it looks like Tony Jones reporting Rodney Hood has been evaluated with a left calf strain. So good news initially. All right, there you go. So at least it's not an ACL or something like that. Thank heavens. Praise be to the basketball gods. But left calf strain, that's frustrating, guys, because last year and so far this year, Rodney has shot the ball well, gets some sort of leg injury, and can't shoot the ball very well after the fact. So just a frustrating night for the Jazz to lose a game that they were really, it was a close one. The Jazz were in this game the whole way. At one point had a 7-point lead and just couldn't find ways to just put the Timberwolves away. So frustrating, but at least the good news is that Rodney Hood is not out for the season with some sort of career-threatening injury. So good news there with Rodney Hood, but a calf strain, we're probably going to be most likely going to be out without Rodney. I believe we play the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow. So frustrating, but at least Rodney Hood is okay. I wanted to circle back to Rudy. I don't know what is going on, but Rudy looks a little slow. I don't know. We haven't had one of those kind of defensive monster games from Rudy where 3 or 4 blocks, just punishing people on the defensive end, and then on the offensive end, just a monster. He's been okay. He hasn't been bad, but I wonder if this new tempo is tiring him out a little bit. I don't know, because for whatever reason, Rudy looks tired, and that could just, who knows? It might just be it's a little bit of rust. We're playing against better talent, where before we were playing against NBL and the Suns, who are barely an NBA team, who might not be an NBA team. Who knows? But Rudy's looked a little slow to me, and so in all honesty, these 2 games, the Jazz really haven't played their best basketball, especially offensively. Offensively, it's been frustrating, and there's been things that, that will get better. For example, Donovan Mitchell has just not been able to make shots. He's made a few, but that 3-point shot for Donovan Mitchell has not been falling. That was falling with regularity in Summer League and preseason. Rudy Gobert has not been... I guess for me to say Rudy's looked a little slow. He was 18-10 last night. And tonight, Rudy was 10 points, 12 rebounds, but was a minus 15. So he's still getting big numbers. Just for whatever reason, it just does look like Rudy's a little bit off. And I don't know if it's just having a more offensive load where we're running pick and rolls through Rudy, which honestly, to me, if we can, running a pick and roll through Rudy Gobert should be our number 1 play. I don't see a reason to not be running that play just over and over and over again if you can, because it's so effective and Rudy just finishes so well that I just want to see a little more of that. So who knows? Rudy will be fine. He'll get better. A good sign for the Jazz has been Derrick Favors, who has been really, really good. Derrick Favors tonight was, 16 points and just 4 rebounds, but 3 assists and a plus-minus of plus 15. So a lot of those rebounds going to Rudy, but Derrick has looked really good. He's been on the floor. He looks healthy. His legs look like they might be a little bit back. I don't know if he's 100% the explosive Derrick Favors that we all know and love, but Favors looks pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I think Derrick has been a nice surprise this year, because for the last 2 years he's been just so injury plagued and had such a hard time just staying healthy with his injuries. He looks pretty good, and so maybe this hopefully this weight loss has done a lot for him. A few things I also noticed in this game. I really wish that Joe Ingles, when he gets that ball on the perimeter, that he just shoots it. I love Joe Ingles' passing. I love Joe Ingles' defense. But my goodness, that last play of the game where we had 5 seconds left, Ingles needs to shoot it. You've got to shoot that ball. Ingles is 6'8". He takes that. I'm sure it doesn't. I don't think it gets blocked. Karl Anthony Towns is not a good defensive player. He's not blocking that shot. And if he tries to block it, very likely he fouls Ingles, who can drop 3 free throws. So, and it happened a couple times tonight. There was 2 open threes Ingles had, and he had a defender kind of near him and passed it up. One play in particular that was a little frustrating is Ingles got that open 3. You have that split second, and Ingles has worked really hard to, have that quicker release with his shot. It's not this catapult anymore. He can really sling it, and I wonder if that's more of his corner 3 shot, that when he's in the corner, he can really get that quick shot off. And it seems like when he's on the, on the high perimeter or whatever you call it, he's not as comfortable taking that shot. He hit one tonight, And maybe it takes more of a wind-up for him to do it, and that's why he's not passing it. And so I don't know if that's the next thing that he can kind of work on is getting a quick release on that perimeter, because, my goodness, at that point he becomes Kyle Korver. But, yeah, a couple times where he passed up a three-point shot, that last play in the end, and there was another play earlier in the game where he had an open shot and he hesitated, passed it up, and it ended up in a Ricky Rubio three-pointer. I can promise you that a Joe Ingles hurried three-pointer is better than a Ricky Rubio three-pointer every time. It just is. So I just want to see Joe Ingles have that three-point shot first, pass second type thing, because we need that shooting. That shooting is just more important to us than anything else, honestly, because the inside game, you can watch this game, the spacing down below for Favors and Rudy is just not there, and that might be what's causing Rudy some of his issues, because they're just able to collapse on Favors and Rudy. And so when Ingles and Rodney Hood, who hopefully is back soon, Donovan Mitchell and all them, if you've got that three-point shot, you got to take it, because that is where a lot of our offense is going to come. And they're good three-point shooters. So that shot is just so vital for us to take. And if we pass those up, you just don't get them, you know. There's just very few opportunities on this team in an offensive possession where we're going to get that many chances at an open three. We have 2.5 three-point shooters in our two wings and Ricky Rubio. And right now, this is something else I want to talk about. Donovan Mitchell can't hit a shot right now, and he'll calm down and he'll figure it out. But what's keeping Donovan Mitchell on the floor is his defense, which, by the way, has been spectacular. He guarded Jimmy Butler for a lot of this night, and Jimmy Butler was not particularly great tonight. He was fine, but Jimmy Butler, 13 points on 14 shots with 7 rebounds and 3 assists. 13 points on 14 shots, that means someone was guarding him really well. And if you watch this game, a lot of that was Donovan Mitchell and Joe Ingles. So the Jazz played well in this game. We just missed shots. Another reason we probably, didn't win this game is Joe Johnson just did not have a great night tonight. 2 for 7 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. There's the game. Joe Johnson hits one of those threes, and this is a different game. So just kind of one of those nights where, honestly, even though it was a loss, I feel a lot better, than if we just got blown out. Like, it's the last-second shot against a team in the Timberwolves, who a lot of people are predicting going to go 5 seed in the playoffs. So the Jazz are looking a lot better than I think we expected. So don't feel bad. And there is going to be a point in this season, as the season goes along, that Donovan Mitchell starts hitting shots. And Donovan Mitchell's going to start tomorrow, which is kind of exciting because Rodney Hood's out. And it's going to be fun. He's going to start hitting shots at some point. And I think what Donovan needs to learn right now is I think he gets in there and he's got all this nerves, and Donovan Mitchell is just a rocket, and he gets that ball and he just wants to go to the hoop and do something. And I think he's got to learn, sometimes it's okay to just take that spot up three. In fact, I would say the spot up three for this team is about as important shot as we can take. And so just want him to take those. The points will come, and I know he wants to score 20 points a game and be Rookie of the Year and all these things. If he just calms down, it will come. So Donovan Mitchell, when he starts hitting shots, is going to be a difference maker on this team. The Gobert turnover is giving me PTSD. Yes. Oh, how painful is that turnover turned into a three-point. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I don't know why Rudy does that. If he gets free throws, he probably buries them because he's hitting 3 free throws. That's from Josh Patterson. Oh, that's painful, guys. That was a game that just a lot of fluke things happened and we didn't win. Honestly, because the Wolves are not looking all that great to me. What's interesting about the Wolves is it's a lot of ISO ball, Andrew Wiggins is not very impressive to me. He might not be very good. And they might have just signed a player to a 5-year max deal that might not be very good. 7 for 19, guys. 36%. That's our defense, by the way. Like, if there's anything we can get from this, it took Andrew Wiggins 19 shots to get 21 points on our defense. That's pretty exciting, actually. That's more points than I realized, actually. It seemed like he didn't score at all, because he missed so many shots. So really exciting that we held Jimmy Butler down. We held Andrew Wiggins down. The referees held us down. And somehow the Wolves pull out a win because Jamal Crawford was 60% from the field. Like, what? How does that happen? How does how does that always happen that Jamal Crawford keeps us from a victory, guys? It's so frustrating. I like I don't know what to tell you other than that Jamal Crawford happened and we had 6 free throw shots through 3 quarters. There's not a lot you can do with that. Cephalosha looked really good. Epke Udoh had just an epic first quarter. Epic Epke Udoh. Epic Udoh. Epic Udoh. There we go. That's something out of this game. Is that a new nickname for Epke Udoh? Epic Udoh? Epic Epke Udoh, backup center who just dominates. It was really fun. Udoh was really, really good. And we might need Udoh because, for example, if Rudy's getting worn down by our new up-tempo pace, that's going to be frustrating. That's going to be vital, you know. So, one of those games where we lost by just a small margin. If a few things fall our way, we win the game. Not a lot to really feel bad about. We're better than the Timberwolves, by the way, guys. That game was frustrating. Those officials were frustrating. Just a lot of balls that just didn't fall our way. A few pick and rolls the first quarter that Rudy just mishandled. Like, Rudy's lost his hands that first quarter. They just he couldn't catch anything and couldn't finish. And a few bad turnovers. Ricky had a few outlets in that first quarter. And, those first quarter turnovers, those first quarter misses, 17 turnovers for the entire game, that's the ball game, So a lot of things the Jazz can tighten up. Their offense, if they can just kind of become as pure a system as they can, where we just run a system and find efficient shots, the more the team kind of fits in there and finds their way, I think we'll be a lot better team. Interesting that we are going to go up against the Oklahoma City Thunder next. It's going to be a tough game because, 3 stars. I don't know how good Carmelo Anthony is, but the one nice thing about playing the Thunder is that they're a perimeter team, and we're going to be able to guard perimeter teams because Rudy, when we play teams, two games in a row we've played against perimeter shooting big men, Jokic, Towns, and so Rudy has to guard the non-shooting big, or at least the least good shooting big, both times, and that's just frustrating. That's just against our strengths, and we should have won both these games. So that's something that we can hang our hat on and be excited about. It's going to be a tough win tomorrow because Russell Westbrook, for whatever reason, just goes off against us. But we do have Ricky Rubio and we do have Donovan Mitchell, who have both proven to be really good defenders. I'm not kidding, guys. Donovan Mitchell's defense is the only reason he's been on the floor because he can't make a shot. And I am his number one fan, and I know he's going to come back and he's going to make shots, and he's going to be really, really good. Like, he's going to be really, really good. You just see that athletic ability, that skill, that talent. It's going to be really exciting. When his shot starts falling, he becomes a game changer because that defense was really, really good. And so it's going to be exciting to see him against, Russell Westbrook, and Paul George is going to be hard for us to guard. Paul George versus Joe Ingles is going to be interesting. Might be a lot of Cephalosha because I wonder if Ingles is going to be a little tired from tonight. A lot of minutes against Jimmy Butler. And then we get to go play the Clippers, who I think that'll be an interesting matchup as well. Favors versus Griffin, and then Rudy versus DeAndre, and we don't have Chris Paul murdering us, who, Chris Paul was the only reason we couldn't hardly blow out the Clippers last year. And so I actually think the Clippers are a team we can really compete with, honestly. Rudy matches up against DeAndre. Favors matches up against Blake. Rubio is going to be able to guard Patrick Beverly, and Milos Teodosic is a guy that we actually looked at kind of grabbing, and we're going to be able to guard that team. So going to be a tough game for the Jazz to play against the Thunder, but I think there's a lot that you can be excited about with Utah in terms of takeaways from this game. We just didn't have an offensive game that you can be excited about. Joe Johnson, 2 for 7, that just doesn't happen very often. Just didn't have a good game. And if Joe Johnson is not hitting shots and getting buckets on the one end, his defense on the other is a problem because he really just is not able to. There were multiple times in this game, if you watch Joe Johnson, not able to get the off rebound. And so we just need Joe Johnson hitting shots. When Joe Johnson's hitting shots, we're really good. When Joe Johnson is not, it's tough. He's one of our better offensive threats. And that's the thing. Our offense is just flawed. There are flaws in our offense. We don't have a superstar offensive player, So there's just flaws that we have to overcome. We can't have a lot of turnovers. We can't have a lot of mistakes. We can't be dropping balls. We got to take advantage of every opportunity, and tonight we just weren't able to do it. We had just a few too many players not having a great game, and that's how it goes. But anyways, guys, comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. If there's anything you think we should talk about or cover in our next video, talk to you later.